Well, hello, my CNC brother or sister. I'm Garrett with IDC Woodcraft, and I'd like to give you a big fat welcome to this video where we are going to do a little bit of training in the Vectric design software. I'm going to teach you about all the zooming and panning features that the software has. So what are those? Zooming, of course, is bringing things closer to you and taking them further away so you can work on finer details. Panning is when you actually take the picture and move it around. So two very useful features that you will find in virtually any design software. The reason I'm shooting this video is because there are some of us who are very computer savvy and we understand how to do these things. We take it for granted. But in my year of doing one-on-ones with people, I have come to realize that there are just some people out there that just aren't that computer savvy and don't understand these basic tools. And so not only am I going to teach you about the zooming and panning, but I'm going to teach you some tips and tricks that if that's you, you are going to love, and it's going to take you to the next level of your designing where it'll make your designing a whole lot faster and easier. So we're going to get into a project here and we're going to walk through these two features. This works on all the Vectric software, meaning the Cut2D, the Vcarve, the Aspire. So if you are brand new to CNC routers and the Vectric software, you might want to subscribe to this channel because I take things to the level that you're about to find out in everything I do so that by the time you're done on the other side, you will have a complete understanding of these various features and how to use the software as a whole. We're going to get into this project and I'm going to teach you about the zooming and panning features, a couple very useful tools that you will use all the time. Let's go. Okay, we are in the Vectric software where I'm going to show you how to work with the zoom features and to be able to move your project around like that and in and out. What I find in one-on-ones with people, some people just aren't as computer savvy that are getting into CNC routers as some other people. And so we may take it for granted, but for them, they just haven't learned it yet. So that's what we're going to cover here, and that's who this is for. Those who are trying to understand how to move your project around quickly, easily, and not hard. I mean, here's what I see when I'm doing one-on-ones. Some people will just grab these little side scroll bar here to move their project up and down, and the one at the bottom to move it left and right, and they're struggling to get their project moving around. I'm going to teach you how to do this. Now I'm going to teach you how to get your project zoomed in and out to where you want it as you do it. So the first thing I want to share with you is if you are someone who does not have a mouse and you have a habit of using the finger pad on your laptop computer, I'm going to tell you right now, you are doing it so difficult for yourself. Get yourself a wireless mouse with a scroll wheel. I will show you what I use, which is right here, the Logitech 510 wireless computer mouse. It works really great. Let's see if I can zoom into it. There we go. And it's got the scroll wheel on it, which is something you absolutely want to have. It's got your left and right mouse buttons, and it's got a couple navigation buttons on the side that you can program. You don't really have to worry about the navigation buttons. What you do want is the scroll wheel. So I'm going to put a link to this mouse in the description. Now, what's cool about this is you have a little plug here that you plug into your computer, put a battery in your mouse, and the computer will do the rest, and within 5-10 seconds your mouse will be up and running. And I never turn the mouse on and off. I just leave it on. The battery lasts for years. That's the first thing. Get yourself a mouse, because otherwise what I'm showing you isn't going to help you a whole lot. All right, so let's talk about this, what I'm doing right now, the zooming in and out. What I'm doing is rolling my scroll wheel on the middle of my mouse. Now, let me show you what I'm talking about. Most mice today have this little scroll wheel feature here. And when you roll that forward and backwards, just like that, most software will give you the ability to just zoom in and out of whatever it is that you're on. So it uses a feature called mouse over. So whatever your mouse is over, it'll work that particular area. And that's what's happening right here. I have my mouse over this field, this gray design field, and all I have to do is roll the mouse in and out. If I come over to this area here, or anywhere off of this design area, and I'm rolling the mouse now, and you see it's not scrolling in and out. That's because that's a mouse over feature. So as soon as the mouse comes over the gray space, then we can start zooming in and out of this area. So that's the first aspect about how I'm zooming in and out. Now the second thing is relative to where your mouse cursor is with this scroll feature, or the zooming feature with your scroll wheel. Right now, my mouse is in the very middle of the Merry Christmas image here, which is an acrylic project that I did. I've had a few people ask for this, so maybe I'll go ahead and let you have this. I'll put a download link in the description so you can have this. It's an acrylic project. There'll be a link to the video that talks about it and how to do it, and it uses a diamond drag bit. So I'm right in the middle of this, and I'm zooming in and out of the image, and it's zooming from the middle in and out. Now, if I move the mouse over to, we'll just say this snowflake right here, and I start to zoom in and look, now it's zooming into that snowflake, but the snowflake's kind of coming off the image. But you notice I'm zooming here, I'm over the Merry Christmas, and I'm zooming in, and it's zooming in right around the T and the R there. That's because that's where my mouse is. What about the little treetop? I'm going to hold the mouse just above the treetop, and now it's zooming in. It's all relative to where the mouse is. Now, you notice when I was just above the treetop, the whole treetop comes into view as a zoomed up image. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to hold it in the middle of the treetop. And you're going to notice now the top of the treetop is gone off the top of the screen. So it's very specific to where you place your mouse. But the point is if you want to work on a specific object, we'll go to this snowflake, hover around the snowflake and start to zoom in, or roll your scroll wheel forward, and the snowflake will come into view like that. Roll the scroll wheel backwards and it'll go back out to where it was. So that's the first thing about the mouse. Now the second one, which you are going to love tremendously, which is going to take your dragging these scroll bars, it's gonna you're gonna never do it again, because these are so tedious to work with. They are like archaic Windows features, but some people are still used to just working with that because they don't understand this feature. So now you understand the forward and backward spinning of your scroll wheel. Now, how am I making this go like this? My mouse is right here or right here, and I'm simply moving it around like that. Well, this is another advantage of your scroll wheel that you want to work with. So I'm going to go to another picture. And so now we have the scroll wheel, and what you do is push directly down on the scroll wheel and you're going to feel it click. And what that's doing is that is actually locking your cursor to the image, and then when you move the mouse around, the image will follow it. So I have pushed directly down on the scroll wheel, and the image can now move around to where I want it to go. So if this little tip helped you out, give me a big fat thumbs up, because I think from my experience, not a lot of people know about this simple little feature that we have on our mouse. Okay, so that's cool. You have just learned two great things if you're not as fluent with computers as some other people are. So you now know how to zoom in and out to a specific area using the scroll wheel, and you know how to move it around. Now we can combine the two. So we're scrolling in a little bit, and I wanted this snowflake, but I got it off on the side. So I can either zoom out and then zoom in from a different position from my mouse, where my mouse is positioned on the screen, or I can simply come over to the snowflake, hold the scroll wheel down, and drag it up into position. If you found this video helpful so far, if you've gotten a couple tips or tricks out of it, please give me a thumbs up and eventually give me a comment down below. That always helps the videos rank. If it's helping you, it's helping other people. And so that's why we want to get this video up there and the other videos that I create for you to help you become good at this stuff. If you're relatively new to CNC routers and the Vectric design software, then you will want to download the PDF that I've created down in the description. It has all the videos I've created on this channel, and they are put in order for the beginner. Basically, you don't have to go searching through YouTube trying to get an answer to sometimes a question you don't even know how to ask. It's all in the PDF, in the videos. It's all sorted just for you. You probably want to download it to save you a ton of YouTube watching time going nowhere. Subscribe to the channel too, because you'll know when I get new videos put out. And one of the things I just want to point out, two things actually. Number one, the PDF. I got to give Greg a big thumbs up on that because he took it upon himself to do some work on that PDF for me. I'm still upgrading it from all his pointers, but you know what? It's people like that that really stand out on my radar, especially with what I want to do with the IDC Woodcraft business. I got some very big plans and I need to get some real go-getters in place to make all this work. So thank you, Greg. You are on my radar just like Bill is. I think that's about it. Subscribe to the channel and let's keep going in this panning and zooming stuff so you can learn the rest of these tools. Let's go. Now we're going to talk about another little feature that does the same thing as this if you don't have a scroll wheel on your mouse. If you just have the left and right button, but you still want this capability. Up in the top bar, there are 4 icons. We have this arrow icon, and then 1, 2, 3 magnifying glasses. So the 4-way arrow icon is a pan 2D view with mouse. That's what we call what we're doing. We're panning around the image. So this is panning. This button will, when you click it, now look at my cursor and it has the 4-way arrow on it. That means I'm in panning mode. And so when I hold my left mouse button down, now I have the same capability. And then I let it go and it is no longer locked in. I push the mouse button down, same capability. And it doesn't matter where I put the mouse. When I lock it down, it has the same capability. Now there are 2 ways of getting out of this mode. One is by coming back up here to the icon and turning it off. And you see now I don't have that 4-way arrow. So we're going to go back and turn it on, and now I have the 4-way arrow again. The other way of getting out of this mode is by pressing the escape button on your keyboard. So I'm just going to press the escape button, and my cursor has just changed back to its normal arrow cursor. So this is how we can pan and zoom using our scroll wheel and the first button on Vectric software. So the next one is the Zoom 2D view to move mouse drawn box. So that sounds kind of confusing. What that means is when we select this button and you look at the cursor now, it has a magnifying glass with a plus on it. So what happens now is I can just move around, and from any position I can hold my left mouse button down and create a window around any particular object. So notice that I am grabbing the 2 snowflakes and part of the tree. I have a specific window created, and when I release my mouse button, the image has now zoomed in to bring in the snowflake 1, snowflake 2, and that part of the tree. And it kept everything that I selected in view. I even have the little corner of this snowflake here. because part of my window was grabbing that. So I'm going to scroll wheel out again, and we're going to go back up to this first magnifying glass where it says Zoom 2D View to Mouse Drawn Box. I'm not sure a better way of saying that, but that's not a very good way of saying it. And now we're going to go over, let's go over the C over here, and I'm going to create a long box up and down, which doesn't really correspond to the shape of the drawing screen, meaning the whole gray space is wider than it is taller, but we're making a box that's taller than wider. And I'm going to let it go. And it made sure that it brought in that entire rectangle that I just drew. And by default, it brought in everything that would fit in the screen along with that, when it's making sure the stuff that I entered or that I grabbed are still on the screen. All right, so we're going to just zoom back out a bit. And we're going to come over to the next mouse button. And it says Zoom Active View to Drawing Limits. So this is a quick and easy way to get your whole project back into view. When we select that, the whole project size comes back to the screen. So that's the white area, the project area that we defined at the beginning of this whole thing. When we opened it up, we said we have a project size of, in this case, 12 inches by 12 inches. By clicking this zoom button right here, it simply brought everything to the maximum size based on the project size. It doesn't matter how big or how small the drawing is, it's still going to bring the project size. I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to grab everything, and I am going to, I clicked it again to get those beads. I'm going to make it nice and tiny. And then I'm going to zoom out. And I'm going to click that button again. And you see it brought in the whole work project piece. It has nothing to do with the size of the project. So I'm going to hold the Control button and Z button down to bring the size back. Now we have one other button up here. It says Zoom Active View to the selected objects. So a selected object is anything that we have actually selected and is highlighted pink. So I have grabbed the Merry Christmas, and it just grabbed all the lines that are connected. I only grabbed this part of the line up here, but when I do that, all this other stuff is part of one vector. So that's why it's all highlighted. And when I select this Zoom Active View to selected objects, Merry Christmas being selected, it's going to zoom the screen to bring up everything that's selected. So I'm going to click the button, and now everything that was selected, Merry Christmas, has now come into the screen. Now, let me show you a little bit further. I am going to click right here to basically deselect Merry Christmas, and I'm going to create a little window that touches the snowflake right here. And then I'm going to press that button again. And now the whole image zoomed up to the snowflake, which is the only item selected. So now we know how to navigate around the software. So we're just going to reiterate what we just talked about. The first is, if you don't have a mouse and you're using the little finger pad on your laptop to do your design and you are absolutely making your life difficult, buy a wireless mouse with a scroll wheel and the two buttons. I will put a link for this one, which is what I use, in the description. Go get it. You will love having a mouse. All right, the second item we talked about is the scroll wheel feature. When you move your scroll wheel backward and forward, just like I'm doing here, you zoom in and out of the image. And that is what happens here. I'm just rolling the wheel back and forth. So when I go forward, it's like I'm moving into the image. When I go backwards, it's like I'm moving away from the image. And then I'm using the scroll wheel push down feature where I am just where you just push directly down on your scroll wheel and hold, and then you can drag the image around. This will eliminate, both of these things together will eliminate your need to use these little sidebars, the scroll bars on the bottom and on the side. We have covered the other pan feature, which is this four-way arrow thing right up here. It says pan 2D view with mouse. When you click it, it creates this four-way arrow. You hold your left mouse button down and you can do the same thing. The way you get out of this mode is either by pressing that button again or hitting the escape button. Then we covered the zoom to the mouse drawn box. We click it, you get the magnifier with the plus sign in it. We just create a window around the thing we want to zoom up to, and then we let go and the software will automatically zoom into it. The next magnifier is zoom active window to drawing limits. So that's the middle magnifier. When you click that, it brings you out to your entire project size so you can see everything. And finally, we'll select this snowflake. The third magnifier, when you click it, will zoom into whatever you have selected in your project. There you go. Now you've got a full understanding of the panning and zooming and why you need to get a mouse on your computer and how to use the little features on the mouse to make life a whole lot easier. Because all these slide bars on the side, they are like out of date. They should be taken off the Windows platforms, but that's the way they do it. Anyway, like the video, subscribe to the channel, download that PDF, get a mouse. There's a link down below for the mouse that I use. Make your life a lot easier. And get good with this stuff, right? That's why this channel is here. So I'm Garrett with IDC Woodcraft. I hope you have a great day, better tomorrow, and happy CNCing.